Just let me know.
The director stepped out as well.
You all set, your worship?
Oh, you ready?
Yeah, whenever you are. Is that it, Joe? Good. Okay, thank you, everyone, for showing up today for our meeting, second day in a row, on March 21st, 2024. We're going to call the meeting to order. Approval of the agenda?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead,
just
Your
under
Worship.
the approval of the agenda, it says introduction of new business. I just want to ask if for our next meeting, and I appreciate that we're having this meeting today, is that there was a resolution passed by council back on June 11th, 2012, in regards to the farmers market on Queen Street. Could you just please, could we put that on the agenda? I just
Yes,
wanted
we
to
can,
note.
sir. Yes, we'll put it on the agenda for our next meeting.
And yes,
Yes.
and also just a follow-up on the e-scooters, because
Yes.
we're not meeting on,
Tuesday.
there's no meeting on Tuesday
No.
because Constable Dale Johnson is not available. So if we could try to
Certainly.
meet before that,
Yeah.
I'd like to just,
Well, Jill,
Put
could
that
you take a
there.
note of those two items, please?
is that all right, sir? Thank you
Yes,
for
it
this.
is.
yeah.
Thank you. Okay,
Chair-
approval of,
Chair.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just on that note, do we need, like, to have that discussion? I think part of the reason for having Dale in was to have make a greater awareness for council, right? Do we need Dale to do that, or can we take forward because a lot of what Dale is going to be said is probably already captured in our previous reports. Is there anything else that he might be missing or might be adding that?
Well, my personal view, Councillor Beck, is that he has the file and he carries the file on this, and maybe one or two or three of us might have misunderstood something or didn't understand something, and that's why I'm looking at it, and then he can really tell us the pros and cons from his prospect, or from his proposal, because he deals with this day in, day out. And that's the only reason that we sort of suggested to have Dale here. He might have more answers, I guess, than you, I, or the deputy mayor, or something along that line of why he wants to go down this process.
So if it
Maybe
doesn't
I'm
get
wrong, I
dealt
don't-
with, and if Dale's away and can't deal with it I guess I'm just cognizant of the fact that we want to get some resolution to this one way or another. Either we're going to continue it on, kind of to the deputy mayor's point from the last time, where we have a business owner who is kind of caught in limbo. And we're furthering that limbo act here with because of the absence of Dale, who can't make it, and that's through no fault of his own, of course, but I'm just trying to be, just conscious of again, TAF has been very good to deal with through this whole process, and I guess I'm trying to be respectful of him and trying to give him answers as quickly as we can. And I guess I'm just kind of wondering what else we could learn that we don't already know, or that we couldn't bring or have brought forth to council for their consideration, so that they're understanding what the issues are as well, too. And in the absence of Dale, can there be a messenger who could work in his absence so that we could have a fulsome discussion with all the other council members?
And Chair, it might also be noted that we're still it's still a bit confusing that we're going to be having this fulsome discussion with council when council has never, ever been part of the decision for this owner-operator to run these Kickstart scooters in the city of Charlottetown. This was 100% an operational staffing pilot project. So now the recommendation from Police Officer Dale Johnson is to pause the program until a bylaw is created. So I'm still a bit perplexed at why it is that council is making this decision when the council did not make the decision for the pilot project. So, and I guess it's not probably a discussion for today, but it's still, a bit confusing that council is going to debate and discuss this on council floor when council had no opportunity, nor did standing committees last year when this pilot project proceeded.
But Mr. Chair, my recollection of the discussion, it did come forth to Economic Development, Tourism, Festival Event Standing Committee, and we were given a presentation, and I was with the understanding it was a green light, let's try it out. So we were briefed on it. But dealing with it, I think, Constable Dale Johnson spoke to some councillors, but he didn't speak to them all. So I agree with you, Mr. Chair. I think we need a first-hand presentation from Dale. And remember, this is the last Tuesday, the fourth Tuesday of the month that's coming up. If we can meet in between that fourth Tuesday and the first Tuesday or the second Tuesday in April, I think we can have a good chance of getting a better understanding. But again, it's a bigger issue because we have to look at the bike share. We have to look at traditional bikes. Like I left here yesterday, went up on Houston Street, they're coming down on the other side, no helmets on. It was just the Wild West. And that's an issue that has been ongoing. But I think we have to put everything in a big package. And just on the farmer's market, there is a resolution that was passed. So we have to deal with that too.
And just to follow up with what his worship said, there is a resolution for the farmer's market, but there is no resolution for Kickstart scooters because that was not a council decision.
And you're exactly right, Deputy Mayor, and I agree with you. And we keep being told operational and all that stuff. So that's something we're going to have to decide too between now and then. And maybe we can, when Constable Dale Johnson gets back, Your Worship, like I'm all in favor of having them in. And because, well, one person hears, it might not be what the other person hears or understands. So I would really like to have it come from the horse's mouth, as they say. And, like it sort of comes out that this is the officer that was dealing with this file. He has the information. It's an operational thing. It was a pilot project, so I got no qualms in having him in when he can sort of come in, if that's okay. And I like your idea too. We don't have to have it on the 26th. We might have to have it on 27th. Or the 20, whenever he's back, I don't know. Councillor Beck?
Well, again, to follow up on what the deputy said, it was an operational decision. So right now, are they making the operational decision to pause the e-scooters for this year? Has that decision been made? Or is that pending a decision from council that council had no part in making? So, I agree with you 100%, Your Worship, that we have to have a more comprehensive, all-encompassing bylaw. That's a down-the-road discussion. What we have to deal with here and now is giving a resolution or a solution or an answer to the TAF, the owner-operator. That's the urgency, and that's why I'm saying, because, and as far as rest of council is concerned, I agree with the deputy. I don't know if there's any resolution that has to come, because we're not dealing with any resolution from beforehand, unlike the farmer's market. But I think council should be aware that you're not going to see scooters around, or we're pausing it just so that everyone is kind of brought into the loop. So if it's an operational decision that it's being paused, I think we could present that information without any extensive discussion, just so that people are aware of it, and that we can get back on to get an answer to TAF. So if Dale's making the decision, if Dale made the decision or it was made operationally in the first place, it should remain as an operational decision, because council did not.
Okay, so why did it come to us? If it was an operational decision, it shouldn't have came here. So now, Councillor Beck.
I think.
But it was brought up in this forum yesterday. We discussed it. We had some issues. It's now part of this forum right now. If we had said yesterday, whoa, this is not our issue. You guys made the decision. move on to the next agenda item, outreach center update. We didn't do that. We had a full discussion. And I made it quite clear that this is not just about Kickstart or eScooters.inc. This is about a whole bigger issue that we did. And you know yourself, Councillor Ramsey, we've been kicking this can down the street, down the road for some time about wearing helmets, more bike safety, Noggin College, all this stuff. Now it's come to a point because e-scooter has put us into a corner where we have a young entrepreneur that has, well, he was here last year. He came to this committee last year. So he brought us into the forum. We're into the forum. So we can't say, okay, no, this is now operational. We can just clean our hands. We can't. Soon as we addressed it, it becomes our issue. So I don't think, now that I've been involved and I've discussed it, I'm not skirting it by saying, oh no, it's all operational now. No, I'm not going to tell that to a business owner, whether it's Bike Share, e-scooter, or it's McQueen's or Rising Tide's bike rentals. We got a responsibility that we took on, and now it's in our ship. So you can say, well, it was this operational issue, but we discussed it here fully yesterday. and
Sure we did.
and
Sure we did.
There was a discussion between pause and put a stop to e-scooters. I said, no, a pause is a pause.
No, I don't think put a stop to e-scooters was ever on the table. Those were, no, I don't think
the
there was
term
a sentiment to
suspend.
do that.
Suspend.
Suspend, pause, whatever the word is,
difference.
it's fine.
Yeah.
I think what happened, it ended up back here in this committee because I think Dale had some questions about, can we be operating this thing without a proper bylaw? And that's how it ended up back in our table, because he was looking for a bit of direction or a bit of an idea as to where to go with it. Because it was done as a pilot project without any guidelines or they were building the plane as they were flying it. So I don't care whether it's us that says it as council or if operationally it's done. I just think for the owner-operator has to have an answer here because he's gearing up for a tourist season. So in fairness to him, I don't care if we're the messenger that's delivering the message or whether it's operational. I really don't care.
Okay.
But I just think I think council has to be brought up to speed in what's taking place. And I think this owner-operator, in fairness to him, because he's acted in good faith throughout this whole process. So I think we owe an answer to him. That's what it's about. That's how it ended up back in this table. So I think in fairness to him, we got to get an answer to him, and we have to be able to begin the work towards providing an all-encompassing bylaw.
So, Mr. Chair, if we're going to ask, if we plan to ask council to be part of that process, and they're going to depend on what we have to say about it based on what Dale Johnson told a few councillors, because I was not part of that meeting when he spoke to you. So you have more information than I do. I want the full story. And Taff, I believe, is watching this now, called me yesterday to say that, I have some correspondence between police services and my businesses that didn't indicate there was anything wrong. So I want a clearer picture, and the clearer picture is to get more information from who's proposed it. It's a recommendation from Constable Dale Johnson. Correct, Mr. Chair?
You're correct, and
Okay, then
I
he should
also received a phone call last night from Taft too.
Did you?
Yes, I did, and he was explaining everything, and he said after September, as far as he was concerned, he abided by all the rules that Dale was giving him, and things were going well. And I'm not lobbying for Taft or anything like that, or for Dale, but I'm just telling, and he's got this program. But I'm like Councillor Beck, this gentleman deserves an answer, and as soon as possible. And if we can get a meeting set up as soon as possible again with Dale, have him explain it all to us, so that we're all listening at the same tone, and then go from there. And then but then again, does it fall back to, as the deputy mayor says, is it going to be a council decision when it's being recommended by staff? I mean, there's a fine line there. Go ahead, Eleanor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm just getting caught up on details of this today, too. What I suggest you do is you bring it back to committee before it goes to council so you can get more information. The mayor had mentioned that it went to the Economic Committee. If it went through there, then it went through to council. But the question is, was there a resolution or anything attached to it? So if there was a resolution or something asked of council at that time, then yes, for sure, it's got to end up back with council. If it was operational, then we just need to determine that, like, for this business or operation to go forward, was there some sort of exception to a bylaw? Did that have to come through council? So that's kind of the information that we need to have before having a full discussion at council. We don't have that yet. So what I suggest you do is get it back on the schedule. You added it today as new business. Get it back on the schedule at this committee to get some of those questions answered before it goes any further.
On this committee?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and as far as the deputy mayor and I and Councillor Beck, I never ever seen a resolution come through here.
Other than yesterday where he recommended in the report, he recommended the suspension or the
Pause.
Pause,
Yeah.
whatever term we want to
Yeah.
use.
And
So that it did actually, it kind of came forth in a, unfortunately, we didn't have Dale here to speak to it as to further rationale as to why.
And then Dale's report yesterday too, as we read, like he broke it down in all these things like going through stop signs and, he went through the whole 9 yards in his report yesterday, like stating why it should be paused right now. But anyway, we can beat this to death. Okay, that's what we're gonna do.
Thank you for the discussion. But I'm looking at the staff recommendation that council
They corrected that, Your Worship.
suspend all scooter rentals until a detailed scooter rental bylaw can be drafted and implemented. So the deputy just said that was amended. When was it amended? Yesterday?
Yep, Counselor or Chief McConnell, because I pointed out, why does it say council? And he says, no, we'll correct that that's a typo. And it's not supposed to be the council, because I questioned that, and you'll see that in the live stream yesterday, where I questioned that. And that then Chief McConnell said that that would be amended, that it wasn't supposed to say for council. Yeah. But
It's in our form. We discussed it. I'm taking ownership. I'm taking this as, look, if we had just said yesterday, no, Chief, we don't have to worry about that. That's operational. Just, let's move on to your outreach center update. We didn't do that. We had a full discussion, and it was a good discussion because we talked about bike share, and we talked about cyclists going through red lights, going up one ways, wearing no helmets, and it's, as I said, there's a bigger issue here that we're not dealing with, and we have to deal with it all. And if it's a bylaw, then we have to go ahead with the bylaw. But just speaking to someone yesterday, if you go to the Provincial Highway Traffic Act for scooters, if we ban them, if council bans them, or the department bans them, or CAO bans them, what means is that they're only allowed on sides of highways. You can't use them in cities on active transportation pathways, so they're completely banned. That's the Highway Traffic Act. So then we'll have to worry about no helmets. Now we'll have to worry about scooters in and around Charlottetown, that they can't be on active transportation pathways. They can't be riding along roads or streets in our city. They're only for open areas that don't incorporate cities. That was my understanding of the act. So my concern is that if we ban them, we're into a bigger issue. Anyways.
I don't know if anyone's saying ban. We're saying pause right now, and I guess, pause, suspend. I don't care what word we're using on that. Let's not get split hairs on that. But at the end of the day, what are we saying to Taft tomorrow? What are we saying about his business? Does he continue and plan for the upcoming summer as he has done, under the understanding that he had from last September? That's what we have to deal with right now. The other stuff about whether they're allowed in the city or on active transportation or whatever, those things will get resolved in alignment with the provincial regulations and trying to line up our bylaws with the Highway Traffic or Highway Traffic Act or whatever it might be. But my concern right now is Taft.
Yeah.
So what are we telling him? What's the message going to be to Taft tomorrow?
You want my opinion? Let them operate. You want my opinion? Let them operate.
So we operate just under the way and we keep assuming just operate the way it's been.
Well, but Counselor, you were here last year when we brought him in, and he made a lot of corrections to his operations.
I know.
He's got a lot of sweat equity in this.
I know
and
he does.
financial equity.
I know he
And
does.
you know what? He amended and listened carefully and worked closely with our police services. Like, this young fella, this young person is a young entrepreneur, a new Canadian that's trying to make his way in our community. So, yes, if we have to make a decision here, let him operate.
In light of all the considerations that have been brought forth and the concerns and areas that need to be addressed, I think that'd be an imprudent move on our part. It would be an imprudent move on our part to allow everything to continue in light of everything that's been brought to our attention. I don't think that's a wise move to be making.
Okay, but I don't know what you're talking, I wasn't, this issue wasn't brought to my attention. Some of you met with Constable Dale Johnson, but what we talked about yesterday is no different than cyclists right now in the city. No helmets, going up one ways, going through red lights, stop signs, that's happening right now with our present system.
Okay.
The other thing that kind of brought this to the forefront is there have been a few more inquiries from other operators that want to open up in the city. So that's opened that up to, there was a pilot project for TAF for last year, for 1 year. But now you have two others, I believe, that are looking to set up shop in Charlottetown. So that's kind of opened up, I think, the broader conversation. Yeah.
Okay, we can debate this until we're blue in the face. What we're planning, what I'm hearing is that we bring in Constable Dale Johnson to this committee to go over the fine details, make sure everybody's here, and then, Eleanor, do we take it back to council, or do we say it's an operational, or is it council decision? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So that's the question that we need answered. Was there a resolution? Was there some sort of bylaw that we allowed this to go forward? That's the information that we need. And I think once we pull that information, it will give us an idea of what the ask of council is, if anything. And I think there's a valid point that's been made. This isn't about debate of a singular business owner. This is enabling business to go forward in the e-scooter business, and what are the rules that'll be surrounding that. So that's all the information that we need to pull together at this table before we would take it through to council for any decision, if any. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Any conflicts of interest? See none? Okay, we're going to move to a closed session as per the Municipal Government Act of PEI, Section 119(1)D. Do I have a mover? Moved by your worship, second by Councillor Beck. Okay. And then we just
Move to adjourn.
move to adjourn. There
Thank
you
you,
go,
sir.
your worship. Thank you very much. Second by Counselor Beck. Thank you very much, Chief.
Thanks, everyone, for your time.
And Jill, thanks for dropping in, for coming in. Dropping in.
Sorry about the